Hi everyone, my name is Morgan and I'm an RN on a step-down general medicine unit, so I see a wide variety of patients. Over the last few weeks, my group has been debating the End of Life Act. A lot of other states actually have already implemented the same act, however, North Carolina has not yet, so it's a very controversial topic, nationwide, but of course in North Carolina. And a lot of people are sensitive to it because, it involves ending someone's life. It's associated, with physician-assisted suicide. So there were a lot of great arguments for and against it by everybody. So I enjoyed reading everyone's post. I really felt strongly about the argument against it for that we already have great palliative care measures to manage symptoms during end of life, making it more of a more comfortable experience for patients. There was one research study that 90% of the patients surveyed didn't even know what palliative care was. And once they did know, they wanted more information about it and they were more likely to go that route during end of life. So I feel like palliative care is very underutilized. So that end of life care might not be researched well just because of the measures that could be used to end suffering, manage discomfort, breathing are not used as often as they should be. So if they were used more, then physician assisted suicide, that measure really wouldn't need to be used. And then the other one was like the moral and ethical distress that healthcare practitioners felt about using this measure, which, I could totally relate to. And then I thought that the best one for it was that end of life and the suffering and the discomfort that patients experience is very subjective, and that only really the patient knows how they are feeling and what they're experiencing to that degree. So, we can use those palliative measures, we can give them the pain medicine, we can, give them medicine to manage their secretions and their labored breathing and everything, but we don't really know the discomfort and the suffering that they're feeling, and also not even the physical suffering, but the mental suffering as well. I read that article by Ken Murray as well, and it was really eye-opening because, he often, he talked about end of life and how a lot of actual healthcare practitioners feel that that the measures, even the palliative measures that they do for their patients, they would never do for themselves, and they would often probably want, physician-assisted suicide because they just know, the what could happen during end of life. Some patients can go months and months experiencing end of life symptoms, which is very uncomfortable. So I think that was the best argument for it. I had a hard time choosing a side, and when I really thought about it, I did have a really hard time writing my post for the against side. I really related to that it's very subjective, and I wouldn't want to make that decision for someone if they're suffering or not. So I think that I'm for it. I feel like the measures or the policy has great, I don't know what the word is, but has great, it protects the patient. So they're not making it, they have to be cognitively sound. They go through a lot of assessments before that they can even be qualified to even have physician-assisted suicide, and I feel like they should be able to make their own decision. There was that really big story that about the girl with the brain cancer who, is really for this because of her suffering, and she, said that she could go on palliative care and hospice, but even then she would still suffer for months and months, and she just didn't want to do that. So, yeah, I think that after reading her story and then the Ken Murray, who's the doctor who actually wrote that article, blog post about how doctors would actually more often choose physician assisted suicide and not give the care that we actually give to patients, I kind of felt the same. That I don't really know what I would choose if I was in that state, but I think that I would want the option to decide, and I wouldn't want somebody else to be able to decide how much suffering is it, enough. I can say that how much suffering is enough and like when I would be ready to go, and I wouldn't want to hang on, I don't think, for months and months suffering. So that's kind of where I stand right now. The bill is a House bill, so right now it's kind of standstill in the House, so it still needs to pass through all the committees in the House and then move to the Senate, pass through all those committees, and go through the president before it can even be enacted into a bill. So I think it has a long way to go. However, I would definitely be one to push for it to go forward. So yeah. Anyway, like I said, I enjoyed reading everyone's posts, and I think everyone just did a really good job debating the topic.